Hi, thanks for joining me today. We're going to work a little bit on our feet today to help us have a more stable and grounded mountain pose. So your connection of your feet to the earth is most important in every yoga posture, standing yoga posture, but your feet are important even in postures where you're not standing up on the feet in a standing pose. So in any pose that you do in yoga, the connection of your feet to the earth or the activity in your feet is very important. So we're going to start in our mountain pose, and then we're going to add a couple fun things to work on, again, our grounded foundation down through our feet, working a little bit on feet and ankle mobility today. So starting in your mountain pose. So in mountain pose, we have the feet hip distance apart, which is lined up right underneath where the points of the hips are. So if you trace a line down the center of the legs through the bones, that's where your feet should be for mountain pose, hip distance apart, not the outside of the hips, but this narrower channel. From that foundation, lift all your toes up off the mat, spread the toes, and place the toes back down on the mat. Think of lifting the inner arch of the foot, lift the kneecaps, lift the sternum energy right up through the crown of the head. So this is our traditional mountain pose. We have a balance between effort and ease, between sthira and sukha in this pose. So it's not this, stiff, rigid posture. There's activity, movement of your breath, but then again, there's this steadiness and ease also. So again, we're going to work a little bit, some poses for some movements for our feet to help us a little bit more with this mountain pose. So we're going to start bringing the feet just a tiny bit wider than the hips to start with, and you're just going to start doing a little sway side to side. And as you do a sway side to side, let your feet move. So let your foot internally and externally rotate as you're moving. So I'm kind of rolling onto the inside of the foot and to the outside of the foot. You can take your feet a little bit wider. You won't have quite as much movement in the feet. The closer the feet are, then as you do that side to side, then you'll have a little bit more mobility and movement across the foot. So this is a really simple little movement, just swaying a little bit side to side and letting yourself roll across that sole of the foot. Then you can take that front to back. So lifting up onto your toes and then lower down and lift the heels up. This one's tricky for me because I have really tight Achilles tendons. So lift up onto the toes and then roll back and lift the heels. So just kind of this little sway now, forward and back. And again, you can hold on to something with any of these little exercises if you feel like you need a little bit more balance. Then from here, we're going to come back with the feet on the ground, and we're going to start to lean a little forward. So think of keeping your nice alignment in your mountain pose, but tip forward just till you feel the heels kind of lift up off the mat. Press down into your toes, not gripping, but pressing into the toes, but just leaning until you feel that lift, a little tiny bit lift of the heel. So we're not coming all the way forward, but we're keeping a little lift, so a little contraction of the muscles in the feet and the ankles. Make sure you're breathing. Anytime you need, you can come back, reset, and then lean again a little bit forward just till you feel those heels hover off of the mat. And then gently come back to center. So now we're going to do a little bit of movement up and down the length of the mat. So the first thing we're going to do is walk on your toes. So you're going to lift your heels up off the mat. I'm going to actually step to the back of my mat. Lift your heels and just walk on your toes towards the front of your mat. So you'll feel that, and then you can turn around and do the same thing, the opposite direction. And notice what part of your body compensates for you to have to do that. You might feel like you're having to, get stiff or anything. The next one, you're going to lift your toes up off the mat, walk on your heels. And again, you probably look like you're walking like Charlie Chaplin. So walking on the heels. And you'll notice, I was kind of positioning my hands a little funny too as I was doing that. Now you're going to walk on the outside edges of your feet. So turn the outside edges of your feet and kind of walk on the outside edges up a couple times. So you feel a little stretch in the outside of the ankle. And again, as we do this, you probably feel like your bum's sticking out a little bit. Now walk on the inside edges of your feet, so like your knock-kneed. So inside edges of the feet, walking forward, one way, and then the other way, coming back. And then come back again to that neutral shape, your mountain pose. Lift your toes, spread the toes, place the toes down on the mat. Come back to that shape we started with, and notice if you feel any difference in the connection of the feet to the earth. They may feel different, they may not, that is fine. But again, those little poses that we did, little movements, start to work the muscles of the feet and of the ankles. So one more that I learned with the Foot Collective on the internet. Is a little march here, they call it the penguin march. Let's see if I can do it. So you lift your foot up and lift your heel up to start with, and then eventually you lift the heels up slightly and just lift your toes. Like you're doing this if you watch the little penguin walk. This is really strengthening, and they said you can go a little bit backwards. You can feel that. I feel that in my ankles and my calves and my feet. So a little bit, you're trying to lift those toes up. And that's one part of my body I don't have very much flexibility in, is in the front of my ankle. Good. And then come back to land in your mountain pose once again. Find that foundation. Inhale and exhale. Think again, spread the toes, place the toes down, lift the inner arch of the foot, lift the kneecaps, energy through the crown of the head, focus on your breath. You can close the eyes for a moment, again, just feeling the connection of your body to the earth. Inhale and exhale. And then let the eyes open. So a little release for all of that work we just did. So you can just do a little shake out of the legs here. Just give them a good shake. You can do a little roll across the toes. You can do a little circle with the ankles there, one direction, the other direction. And again, for those of you who ride, ankle mobility is very important with the foot in the stirrup to be able to follow and absorb the motion of your horse. So ankle mobility, very important for riders. And again, you can do that little shake out of the legs. Come back again to your mountain pose. Close the eyes. Again, feel the connection of your feet to the earth. Full breath in, long breath out. And then gently let the eyes open. Thank you for joining me today. I hope that you enjoyed that little foot and ankle session. You can repeat that as much as you want, or do any kind of, add any other movements that really work on that foot and ankle mobility. We close our feet up in shoes so much that our feet don't get enough movement to build the correct muscles. So we need to do more yoga barefoot, and then some exercises like these can help to strengthen the feet and the ankles also. Thanks so much for joining me today. I hope to see you sometime soon in the saddle or on the mat. Have a great day. Bye-bye.